They chant for a unified and sovereign Ukraine. Hundreds gathered outside the parliament, holding signs like this one reading, "Corruption kills." President Volodymyr Zelensky's attempt to rein in the independence of Ukraine's main two anti-corruption organizations has been described as his most serious and potentially most consequential political crisis since Russia's full-scale invasion began more than 3.5 years ago.
I am convinced the anti-corruption institutions must be independent. That's why I'm here, to support the youth in their protests. Because I fought so we citizens could protect the interests of our future.
On July the 22nd, Zelenskyy and his cabinet hastily pushed a draft law through Parliament that gave the Prosecutor General, appointed by the President, greater oversight and control of Ukraine's corruption watchdogs. The move caused the largest street protests in more than a decade. President Zelensky's attempt to weaken the independence of Ukraine's two major anti-corruption investigative bodies has shocked the country. But it's not just anger on the streets that has forced him to change his mind. Many Western backers in the EU and senators from both parties in the US were appalled. They demanded Zelenskyy backtrack. Eventual EU membership could be complicated further or even jeopardized. Perhaps vital wartime and reconstruction funds would be frozen.
My biggest concern was that, first of all, there is a problem whether or not our Western backers, our allies, will continue to support us, especially the European Union, because for them, independence of anti-corruption bodies is a red line.
Speculation is rife as to why Zelenskyy wanted to change the law in the first place. Reports in local media suggest members of his inner circle are being investigated for corruption. That's why, according to opposition MPs and some members of Zelensky's party, the homes of dozens of members of the corruption watchdogs were raided and at least 2 people detained.
It's a lot of damage. Trust is really harmed, trust of Ukrainian people in Ukrainian government. I think it's a horrific mistake. I think, unfortunately, that he tried to protect his friends and his cronies. That's a big problem.
President Zelenskyy had initially said the anti-corruption agencies were vulnerable to Russian influence. Despite his U-turn and Parliament voting overwhelmingly in favour of reinstating the law protecting their independence, this crisis has exposed just how fragile Ukraine's path towards meaningful reform actually is. Meanwhile, Russian drone and missile attacks continue. At least 14 people, including a 6-year-old boy, were killed on Wednesday night into Thursday morning. That death toll is expected to rise among the more than 100 other people injured. Stratford, Jazeera, Kyiv.